Okay, here's our second video on the elimination method with system of equations. And remember, with system of equations, we're trying to find where the two equations, where the two linear equations will meet, will cross on the grid or the graph. So let's review something. What we want to do is, if we have an x and we're plussing it, we want a minus x. We want the inverse, because an x plus a minus x will cancel out. That's what we're trying to find. So if I had a 2x, for example, on one equation, I know I would need a negative 2x to cancel it out. And if I had a negative 3y, let's say, doesn't matter if it's x or y, then I know to cancel this out, I would need a positive 3y. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking to cancel an x or a y out. Another review here. We have x plus y equals 2. That is in standard form. That's the standard linear equation. To get slope-intercept form, you just minus the x on both sides, and you're going to have y equals negative x plus 2. And you know, when we have a linear equation in slope-intercept form, we know the 2 is the y-intercept, so this will cross at 2. Okay, so let's take an equation. Let's take x plus 2y equals 10. And then we'll take negative x plus 5y equals 4. Put a line underneath. Now again, we're trying to eliminate either an x or a y. We're trying to find how we can eliminate either the top or the bottom equation. So again, if we can see that there's an x and a negative x. So automatically we know they're the inverse of each other and they're gone. And remember, when we do system of equations, we're adding. So 5 plus 2y is 7y, and 10 plus 4 is 14. Just do a little algebra. Divide the 7 on both sides because we want the y by itself. And we just solved what y is. So we know so far the y is going to be 2. Remember, x comes first. Now we need to find what the x is. And how do we find the x? We just plug in the 2. So let's take the original equation. Now we had x plus 2y equals 10. Right? So we have x plus 2y equals 10. Just plug in the 2 for the y. So we have x plus 2 times 2, because anytime you see a number next to a letter, it's multiplication, equals 10. X plus 4 equals 10, and we know now, just by looking at it, that x has to be 6. So our solution would be 6, 2. Now you have to double check. 6 plus 4 is 10. It worked for the first equation, but they have to work for both equations. So we have the second equation was negative x plus 5y equals 4. So we're saying negative 6 plus 5 times 2, which is 10, has to equal 4, and it does. So it checks out. Now let's look at a harder equation. What if I had 3x plus 8y equals 30? And then I had 2y plus 4x, fix that y, equals 14. Put a line. Now, if you look at this, you can see there's a problem already. They're not lined up right. We need x's with x's and y's with y's. So they're not lined up. We have to fix that. So we'll put the 4x here, plus 2y equals 14. Now they're lined up. But we have another problem. We don't have any inverses of each other. Remember, in the system of equations, we're adding. So we have to manipulate somehow to get the same numbers. How can I get either a 3 by multiplying on the bottom, or an 8 by multiplying on the bottom, or we can do the reverse. How can I get a 4? How can I get a 2? So you have to look at this, and I can see that if I can get a 8 by multiplying 4, I'm going to manipulate the bottom equation. So let's write this: 3x plus 8y equals 30. We have 4x plus 2y equals 14. So I'm going to manipulate the whole bottom equation by using a 4. But I just can't use a 4. I need to use a negative 4. Right? So let's make that look better there. Negative 4. Then we want to distribute this inside. So let's write it on the top. We have 3x plus 8y equals 30. And then if I distribute the 4, I'm going to have a negative 16x minus 8y equals 56. Okay, so because 4 times 14 is 56. Negative 56. Negative 56. Okay, so now you can see we can eliminate the 8. Why? It's gone. And now we're left with negative 13x equals negative 26. Just divide on both sides. And x is going to equal 2. So now we know what x is. Our goal is to find what y is. So now that we know that x is 2, we can rewrite this whole thing. We know our solution has to be 2 something for the y. Let's go back to the equation. 3x plus 8y has to equal 30. Well, if x is 2, we're going to have 6 plus 8y has to equal 30. A little algebra minus the 6 on both sides. And 8y has to equal 24. Divide the 8 on both sides, and we have our solution. Y is 3. So the solution is 2, 3. Okay, that's part 2 of our video.